Hey everyone, Anti-Beta1M here and welcome to my channel and another lockdown special from Brisbane. I'm living in my apartment in Brisbane and we're being locked down. It's been, I think, between 8 to 10 days of lockdown so far, and we're awaiting the announcement this morning as to whether that lockdown will be extended for another few days, perhaps, or even longer than that. So it's grueling times, and I've been pretty much doing my own thing in my apartment, sleeping much more than usual, watching the Olympics, which is great in its own way, but I'll talk about the Olympics a little bit more later. In regards to my law studies, I'm studying contract law at University of New England online, but unfortunately the conditions of study are something that I'm really struggling with, because I can't study in my apartment. I feel it's impossible to do that, so I may actually not continue with my unit of study, which is quite unfortunate because I've been putting a lot of effort into it. Every day I've been getting up, going to the library whenever it's been open, and studying my heart out for 3 hours a day sometimes, but now it's come to a conclusion where I feel that it may be impossible for me to continue with that because of lockdown conditions. Not being able to study at home, not feeling comfortable to take out my book. This is my book here. It's a huge book. I've got an even bigger one on the cases for contract law, but having to read through the chapters that have been assigned for particular weeks has been too much for me, and I feel that I just want to be doing something else. The conditions of the educational learning experience has been terrible. The lectures haven't been very coherent or cogent, and all these factors have worked against me. So unfortunately I may not be continuing with that. However, I have been following the Olympics. I have been doing other things. I've walked about the suburbs, including the CBD, a bit recently. Also been using internet access outside my apartment. My apartment conditions have changed. I used to have free internet, residual internet in my apartment for at least a couple of years, and that's changed because of I think someone changed the configurations or something, and I was not told. Obviously I had to find this out for myself, but on a particular day, a particular time, I found out that I could not have internet access except through Facebook, and also I found out that I could access Instagram, but these two sites only on my internet now. But I have been using Wi-Fi outside my apartment. It's called Brisbane free Wi-Fi, and it's allowed me access to free Wi-Fi, but the only problem is, of course, in this condition of lockdown, it's not very proper to use internet in a situation where other people are just keeping to themselves in their own homes. So unfortunately I can't sit outside on the streets and use the internet just freely like I might normally do, because of the pandemic conditions. So I've been watching the Olympics on TV, a lot of advertising from McDonald's, which I've had to get used to, and I always turn off the sound when I get a McDonald's ads on my TV. I'll just show you a bit of the footage of the marathon, so you can see the marathon on TV there. There's my, where is it? There's my TV there, so I'll just show you, well, there's an advertisement starting now, so I can't show you much on that at the moment, but I'll show you some of the Olympic men's marathon when it comes up again on the TV screen. Hopefully I can show you a bit of that. So for the Olympics, I've been getting these stickers from Woolworths, which is the fresh food partner of the Olympics in Australia. So I have these stickers which I got for spending $20 or more at Woolworths. So I'll just open a few of these up. show you what's inside. This is surfing hero Stephanie Gilmore from Australia. I don't think she won a medal this year. So there's a few others I've got here. I'll just open them up. A couple of hockey champions from the Australian Olympic team. Of course, stickers are a bad thing for me because I stick them in bad places sometimes. I stopped one on my TV in recent years and can't get it off. So I'm going to have to make sure that I don't stick these in any bad places where I can't get the stickers off. This is Thomas Edgar, an Aussie hero from... I think he's a pole vaulter, but I'm not entirely sure. He might be... Oh no, he's a volleyballer. I don't know, I didn't even see the volleyball this year on the Olympic channel, so I was just wondering what was going on with the volleyball this year. I didn't recognise any Australians on the TV regarding volleyball. And finally a weightlifter. I didn't see any weightlifting this year, even though weightlifting is a nice sport to watch on TV. I didn't see any of that this year, so I missed that in the Toyko Olympics. So the Olympics this year have been fairly interesting, except for the advertising. It's been ramped up, so you have to see this McDonald's advertising, which is really, really annoying. But the opening ceremony was low-key. It was quite minimalist. I thought it was very well presented. Less athletes. It was much more humble sort of opening ceremony, but I really enjoyed it. I watched it not from beginning to end because I slept through the middle section, but I watched a lot of the beginning and a lot of the end of it, especially the lighting of the Olympic cauldron. I saw that, which was fairly interesting. Not as interesting as Barcelona. Barcelona had the best Olympic cauldron lighting event, and Sydney Olympics was pretty much up there as well. It was pretty exciting. Atlanta was pretty disappointing, and I think some of the other ones were pretty disappointing as well. Not very exciting. But Tokyo, the lighting of the Olympic cauldron was pretty okay, I guess. Yeah, it was alright. So, the Olympic Games this year has been interesting, especially for Australia, where we've won apparently as many medals as we have at any other Olympics, except for maybe the 1956 Olympics. It's been our most successful Olympics in equal measure to the 1956 Melbourne Olympics. So that shows how successful this nation has been in its sporting events, including swimming, the men's basketball where we won third, sailing, just kind of trying to think of everything else, other events, but lots of things. Even athletics, some things we won in the athletics. We won second in women's high jump, I think, this year as well. So Australians should be pretty proud of themselves. I don't particularly go for Australia because of my association with Mental Health Authority. I don't support Australia as a nation as much as I used to. I would be cheering and my head off if I didn't have bad associations with Mental Health Authority. But in some way I'm still happy that the Australians have won something exciting in this year's Olympics, even though I don't really support them that much anymore. So I'm going to show you a few scenes of the Olympics. As you can see that on TV. Looks like the Africans are leading the pack. The three African, probably the favourites for this event, are leading the pack. As you can see, as you might be able to see in the background, the residents of the township there, I think it's Sapporo or something, don't quote me on that, but Sapporo or something in Tokyo, have all come out into the street. Even though the pandemic is raging in their country, it's pretty dangerous to be out in the street at this sort of pandemic period. But the residents of that particular township have decided that they want to come out because it's the last day of the Olympics. They want to enjoy themselves despite the risk of catching the coronavirus. And you know, they want to enjoy themselves, and I guess there's reason to do that. So they've made the decision to come out. In Brisbane, of course, there's not so much of an occasion to do that. So even though just before the lockdown started, there was quite a huge party in the South Bank where we celebrated the event of being named as the host city for the Olympics in 2032, which is a long way away, isn't it? But there you have it. I mean, it's going to be 11 years before I can even see that, and I may not be in Brisbane anymore. By that time I may have sold my apartment or something, I don't know. So we'll see what happens before then. Hopefully I'll be somewhere in a better place and I'll have more money, I'll be able to travel a little bit. But I'm not expecting the virus conditions to be lifted anytime soon, because in America, for example, the virus conditions are pretty bad. In India, everywhere else, Africa, I don't know where else, in Europe, all these places are affected by the pandemic beyond proportions outside of Australia. So I think Australia is somewhat a safe haven for me at the moment, and I'll be sticking to my life in Australia for at least the next few years, I think. Maybe even 5 or 10 or 15 years. It could be that long before things get under control in the future. So in my law studies, I have an assignment to do in the next few days, due on the 22nd of August, this one, but it's really hard, and I'm hoping to get, well, I will get an extension for that. So it may not be possible for me to complete it. I may struggle. If I knew that I could complete it successfully, I would probably keep continuing with the unit, but there's no guarantee of that. I'm really unsure of myself in this in this law unit. So I've got something else to show you. I've got some papers from my mental health clinicians regarding determining the adult therapeutic dose of my medication. So I've asked them, okay, I have 400 milligrams of Abilify Maintainer every month. I want to know how that main dose is determined, and they gave me these papers. So I'm going to have to go through them. It's a pretty hard task because the papers are written in a very clinical manner, and I'm not confident of being able to understand them, but I must try my best to understand why the dose has been determined as 400 milligrams. So it's not a very fun or easy task at all, and I'm not looking forward to doing that. But at least I gave you an idea of how the conditions are in lockdown. I walk to the shops every few days to get some groceries, and I bought toilet paper recently. There were no shortage of supplies as there have been in previous lockdowns, where people were struggling and overbuying and overpurchasing everything. But nowadays you can get everything you need at the supermarket, so that's good news. But we're still very much in a terrible situation regarding not being able to access the libraries, not being able to access some parts of. I think the public transport is still going. It's empty buses just roaming the streets. You know, people not using the buses, but the bus is still operating. So it's kind of like a ghost town in some ways. So that's the way Brisbane is operating now. Okay folks, that's enough from me, and I will see you next time in another update on my life and the lockdown situation in Brisbane. Bye for now.